Welcome back and many thanks for keeping it Channel 1. Moving on, those in leadership positions, whether in public or private institutions, should embrace mentorship to be coached on how to make bold decisions that have a bigger impact. This is according to BCA Leadership CEO Dr. Modupe Taylor Pierce, who believes most of those in leadership positions fear making tough decisions. Dr. Modupe spoke to Betty Kiptum about how to inspire leaders to take risks, and this is how that conversation went.
Hello and thank you for watching KBC Channel 1. My name is Betty Kiptum. It is now time for an interactive session, and we'd like to talk about why bold leadership matters in moving the African continent forward and ensuring that Africa achieves its goals. And to have this conversation is Dr. Modupe Taylor Pierce, who is the Chief Executive Officer of BCA Leadership. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Betty.
Welcome. I hope you're enjoying your stay in Nairobi.
Oh, I love Kenya.
Right.
It always feels like home to come back to the capital of East Africa.
This is the cradle of mankind, you know. Right. So tell us about the conference that you're planning to host, and especially just start with an introduction of who BCA Leadership is.
Sure. So BCA Leadership is a Pan-African leadership enhancement organization. We exist to support organizations and companies to be successful, and we provide the vitamins that every leader needs. That is peer learning, we provide coaching, we provide networking, and we provide consulting services. Because what we have come to realize in Africa is that many of our leaders in Africa don't have access to services that support them in raising their awareness of the world around them and of themselves, their strengths and weaknesses, so that they can make optimal decisions. And in the process, if you don't make optimal decisions, then you don't achieve the vision. So we exist to support organizations and companies in Africa to achieve success.
Achieving success. Talk to us about the Bold Actions for Bold Results conference.
So the Made in Africa Leadership Conference is in its 6th edition. We've been doing this since 2019, where we started it in Kigali, Rwanda. We've hosted it in Lusaka and Accra, and this year we're excited to bring it to Nairobi. And the theme of the conference is Making Africa Work for Africans, Bold Actions for Bold Results. Now, why did we choose that theme? Because we have come to the realization that much of what keeps African organizations and companies from achieving success is fear. Sometimes the leaders are afraid of expanding, afraid of moving into new territories, afraid of taking tough actions. And what we seek to do in this conference is we're going to inspire people by bringing people who have done it. And we're going to inspire them to see that it is possible. So we have some guest speakers who will come, whether it's in the area of agriculture, or in the area of technology, or in the area of banking, or even in the area of public service, who are going to share about how they have taken bold actions to achieve bold results. And we make sure that our delegates spend more time in small groups, engaging with the guest speakers and learning from each other, so that it really is a learning conference.
All right. I'd like to hear from you. Africa has been, for a long time, producing for the rest of the world. And a lot of, even the brains are, exported to other countries across the world. What are your thoughts in terms of ensuring that as we make Africa work for Africans, we are growing Africa with its people?
I love the fact that you've alluded to the brain drain of Africa. And this is one of the reasons why we have had poverty in Africa, because the professional class have often been recruited to go and work in other countries. And one of the realities of life is that the teams who have the best players usually win, whether it is in football like Real Madrid or Barcelona, or it is in business. So the companies that have the smartest, most capable employees will usually win. And the same thing happens for countries. Now, why do those professionals want to go to other countries? Because they have better leadership. because it is the leaders who create the structures under which the people can then maximize their talent. And that's why we are addressing the issue of leadership right here in Africa, because we know that the leaders of companies, of organizations, of parastatals in Africa can and want to do better and will do better when they are given the support in the form of the services that they need in order to make better decisions. And that can start at the Made in Africa Leadership Conference.
Africa has been said to have a lot on paper. We have a lot of conferences, we come up with a lot of bills and acts, and they're all just seated somewhere. Implementation is the problem. So how do you ensure that the conversations that happen during this conference go beyond just talk to implementation?
Indeed. One of the realities that we have to come to and be confessed to is the fact that we have had loads of conferences, and many of the Pan-African conferences, unfortunately, tend to be actually organized by non-Africans for us. So this is a conference that is organized by African leaders for African leaders. And it is different from your typical conference in a number of ways. Because number one, we minimize the amount of time that you spend in a large auditorium speaking to a global speaker who will wow you with his or her knowledge. Because in those auditoriums, there is one-way communication. And that topic may or may not speak to your particular problem. Whereas at the Made in Africa Leadership Conference, we maximize the time spent in small groups. We divide the delegates into groups of 30 and 40. And at any time, there will be 6 of these rooms or learning labs happening, each with a guest speaker. So you as a delegate can attend the session whose topic speaks to your particular need, because that is our promise, that you will leave this conference having found the solution to at least one of the problems that holds back your organization from success. And this is how we do it.
Right. Technology is the driver of the world right now. And of course, Africa has to position itself in a place where it can compete, you know, with the rest of the world. How important is technology for Africa moving forward?
Well, I don't think I would be shocking everybody if I said it is very important. But here's the key. You see, technology is an accelerator. It is a tool. I'm reminded of the first time that I bought a cell phone for my mother. And about a year after having bought it, I discovered that she had left it in her bedroom nicely wrapped. Now, the purpose of the cell phone was for her to be able to communicate better and improve her life. But if I didn't invest in time in her, in getting her to appreciate, understand, utilize, and leverage that technology, then it was just a tool that sat there. And many times in Africa, we have this challenge because we have technology all around us. The question is, how are we leveraging it? How are we leveraging it to learn better? Because of technology now, you don't have to be limited to teachers who are within your geographical area. And you can learn from teachers anywhere in the world. You don't have to be limited to doctors who are within your geographical area. You can actually be diagnosed by doctors anywhere in the world, etc., etc. So, but these kinds of things will only happen when our eyes are opened to the possibilities. We have to be helped to become more aware so that we can make the better choices that will then improve our lives and the lives of our fellow Africans.
Right. So, Dr. Modupe, as we come to a close of this conversation, what would be your rallying call to people who are watching and maybe even the leadership?
Africa needs all of us to be better leaders. And I know that all of us are doing the best job we can today. But the reality is this, that we will be known by our results and the outcomes. And the best leaders in the world are intentional about putting themselves into learning environments on a regular basis. They have executive coaches who support them in thinking through problems and holding themselves accountable. They participate in peer learning groups where they can gain knowledge from peers. They make sure that they read. This is one of your responsibilities as an African leader. And because you are the leader, nobody else can force you to do it. There's no parent who will say, make sure you study. So my charge to you, my fellow African leaders, is to make sure that you are continually filling your bucket of knowledge, skills, networks, and awareness so that you can make the optimal decisions. Because even if you graduate today with the knowledge from the rest of the world about everything, in 10 years that knowledge will be obsolete if you don't keep learning. And Africans are depending on you to make wise decisions, and you will do that when you put yourself in a learning environment. And I encourage you to come next month to the Made in Africa Leadership Conference on the 12th and 13th, because it will be 2 days of high impact learning for leaders.
Thank you very much. I think that is a powerful place to end. Keep learning in whatever leadership space you're in. Asante sana. That is Dr. Modupe Taylor Pierce. He is the Chief Executive Officer at BCA Leadership, and he has been talking about matters leadership and why it matters for Africans to make sure that Africa works for Africans. My name is Betty Kiptum. Thank you for watching.